Hi guys, Mitch King here with Trade Stocks America with the Wednesday morning, March 10th, 2010 daily stock report. Here's the Dow 30, have basically a bullish day except for that last 90 minutes where we had a sell-off. Here's the intraday chart for the Dow 30 on a 5-minute chart. This is Stock Finders, by the way, which is developed by Warden Brothers. So you can see that sell-off in that last 90 minutes where we were up about 60 points on the Dow and then just sold off down to a little bit in the negative, closed up today just a hair. No particular nervousness that I know of, except that the market has been moving up and maybe a little profits, but nothing to be too concerned about now. Nothing to be too concerned about yet. NASDAQ Composite continues its pattern of being stronger than the other indices, up about 1/3 of 1%. And here's the Russell 2000, which represents the small cap sector, up about 0.4 of 1%. So steady she goes, bull run continuing on, higher highs. Everything looks healthy right now. Every time we think things are calm, the market tends to make a correction. There's a saying that goes around in the market that when the VIX is low, look out below. And I think we talked about this last night. The volatility index right here is meaning when the VIX is low, look out below means that the market could go down. So what happens again, just to teach you what I'm talking about here, is when the VIX goes up, the market will go down. Since the VIX is low, a lot of people, including myself, keep an eye on that for extremes if there's any indication that we could get some selling in the market when this is extremely low. So when the market was really low itself, or the indexes were, the volatility index was up high. So this is an inverse relationship. Let's cover a handful of stocks. Here's RIG, Transocean, the stock we're looking for on a short sale for a swing trade. Not looking for a big home run here, just a sell-off from here. It could get down to that low below 77, 78, but we're really looking for this area somewhere in here. $80, 81, could get lower, depends on how the market acts. Oil's up a little high right now, so it's conceivable to see these oil stocks cool off a little bit. They've had a nice little run from most of these oil stocks, as you can see from this Transocean stock. Stock symbol RIG in the upper left-hand corner up here. Here's that bull short idea I gave you last night on CNAM, China Armco. Looking for this to get around $8, maybe a little lower. And these IPOs that just IPO'd here in December are a little dangerous because they're very volatile. They usually have a low float. And also this is a Chinese stock, so a lot of speculation could get going on this. But it really already has had its speculation from $5 to $11 here in the last week. So even though the chart is real open because there's not enough data to, make it look like a normal chart, this should sell down for a couple days here, and I'm seeing shares available for some of these brokerage firms on the stock. Here's CMG. We've traded this quite a few times this last 12 months or so, mostly on the long side, and we're along again the last couple days. I've kind of lost track of this. Probably one of these stocks I said to hold on to a real long time, but you guys know I tend to be on a fairly short-term swing trader, so I have a hard time with these 4 or 5 monthers. So closed out of that TNH, it peaked out around that $94 something figure and then sold off of $4 to $90 and bounced up and closed at $91.38. And those target prices I keep giving you guys from 95 to 98 in this case, just when they sell off, and we made that big move from 85 yesterday to 93, I think it was. That's the cue. It's time to leave. Let's take a look at an intraday chart on this using the Stock Finders 4.0 version. Here's TNH, and what you're seeing here, right here is the opening. Look down here is 4 p.m. yesterday, and that covers off at 9:30 Eastern. So let me do a cross here, and you'll see, well, this information box is in the way, but you'll see 9:35, 9:30 is down here. Peaked up right in here, and what you guys want to do, or my strong suggestion or my opinion here, move up like this and then turn over just like you got a top in these intraday scalping charts, and that's why I encourage all of you guys to learn that technique so you can learn how to interpret these charts and not necessarily be a scalper, because a lot of you guys aren't full-time, and that's fine, but you really should learn this. But anyhow, when they turn over like this and then they go underneath that line, which is the opening or yesterday's close, then you really want to be thinking in terms of capturing your profits, and that's when I tend to pull the trigger. Remember, we got that money yesterday, and here right in here at 85.50, right in here was yesterday around $85. It popped up to quite a bit, real nice move to around 92 something, 92.74 I think it was, moved up to 94 right in here this morning, and then started selling off, and that's my cue to say goodbye, auf Wiedersehen. I'll take the money and capture that. Here's ENER, Energy Conversion Devices. Did the same thing, just pretty much gapped straight down today. So I don't know what the news or the speculation was, but all I know is that when they gap down like that, remember yesterday's 880 was the high, today's gap down, sold off in the first 10 minutes to around 820, bounced up a little bit to right here to about 835, and that's when you leave. I've mentioned this quite a few times to you. Let's take a little closer look at this here. This is where you want to wait for that bounce and close it right in here. Just because it gaps down, a lot of these bounce back up, and you really want to be understanding how stocks breathe and they move around, and you can often get the price that you want throughout that day, but especially you see these bounces, and we have a pretty bullish market, so you're going to see these bounces like that. If it's real negative and people are scared and Chicken Little's crying the sky is falling, you won't see much of a bounce. You just see a gap down and then just continuing to move down, something like down here. But the market's pretty bullish, and we've exceeded that January highs with most of the indexes, so there's some bounce to it. We're starting to see some speculation. You're starting to see me post and see some of these bull short ideas. So when you see that, then there's speculation, there's some buying, and the fear factor is kind of low. So again, that's something you want to see patterns, and you want to get a feel for how people and investors, traders are acting and how stocks are acting. Here's similar action with HTCH, Hutchinson Technology. Really is sort of a weak stock anyhow. I liked it as a swing trade. Let's try to grab 2 days of history in there. So there's 2 days of history, and you can see the same pattern as ENER and TNH yesterday. $7, moved up to 8, that's a 15% move. Here's the opening today, that line right here, moved up a little bit, then down. Don't like that, so a lot of times you wait for a bounce. Here was one right there, and then there. I'd say this one doesn't, from a short-term point of view, this may break down. And again, if you're up that kind of money, 8 to 10%, start looking at capturing that. One more comment on that. The philosophy I like to have is grab these 7, 10, 12 percenters, put them in your account, and just capture that profit when you know that you're already made a big move. I mentioned that last night. And just remember, there's a lot of ideas out there. There's thousands of stocks. We'll find more ideas. It's not like you have to hang on to one to make it a big home runner. Just try to pick away and get the idea that you're just grabbing money. You're grabbing 5, 7, 10, 15, 12 percenters, and just take them as they come and look for the next idea. I have a saying in stocks is that you use them and lose them. Don't marry them. Don't be friends with them. Don't fall in love with it. It's just another stock. I mean, that's how you treat your stock life, not your personal life. That's just how you handle stocks. Sorry for the long video. We'll talk to you tomorrow night, and have a great day tomorrow.